$1,000 monthly stimulus and young Americans are done with a dream. What is the American dream? In today's video, we'll see how the youth of the nation is slowly seeing the reality of our situation day by day. We also cover a stimulus check, which will be the first of its kind at $1,000. But before we get into the discussion, please hit the subscribe button now and also tap that notification bell, and I would totally appreciate a thumbs up on the video. Without further ado, let's go and jump in. So the youth has always been dubbed as the hope of the future, and while that should ring true, it's also rather iconic that most of today's youth have no hope in the future. But check this out. Okay, so the average debt of Americans aged 18 to 23 years old is already at $9,593. Now imagine owning almost 10 grand before you even 24 years old, and when you get there, your debt spikes to almost $80,000. It also doesn't help that a good paying job is incredibly difficult to find these days. Finding a job that pays well doesn't burn you out physically or mentally and easy to apply for. It's like looking for a needle in the haystack. There's a huge chunk of the youth that are not getting experience, as we speak around 46%, and with that they're also not realizing their worth. While the job market may have a lot of jobs available, it doesn't mean that you should lower your stock value and go for something that pays less. At this point, do any of us really have a choice? As a result, a lot of young adults across the country are applying for jobs, with some of them agreeing to be paid the bare minimum, while others grew tired of looking for a job and just stayed either as the result of being passive. Young adults are now living back with their parents. Just think about it for a second. At a young age, you acquire a student loan. Those are always expensive, and even with the student loan freeze, the number is still the same. Getting a house at this time is also next to impossible, as housing prices are going through the roof, with a housing bubble that is apparently imminent. But that's not even part of the story. Ultimately, you won't be able to find a good enough job to pay for anything other than the most basic needs. Depressing as this may seem, this is the current reality for many. Student loans have also stopped the younger generation from living the life that they want. They have to postpone dreams and plans because they're just not making enough money to cover everything. And as they don't have enough money to buy a home, renting is their only option. Now, what's sad is that most of these millennials now see that they're behind in life. Before that, they basically said, oh well, I can't afford the monthly payments for home rent this. And what's really disheartening is that almost 50% of their income is just for rent, with almost little to nothing left for food, clothes, heat, and whatnot. The perception of the younger generation on the US is that there are other countries that are far better than them in terms of age, but 42% of those aged between 18 and 29 years old, or about 4 in 10 adults, believe that the US is no longer the place to be at financial stability, your own home, health care, a good paying job, or just dust of your dream with the way our world is right now. We're all suffering from inflation. We're all on guard due to the food shortage, and most of us are stretching out each and every single day. Now, moving on to our next topic, guaranteed income programs. They're slowly becoming a norm in providing more and more financial assistance for Americans across the nation. To some extent, they're kind of like a new form of monthly stimulus checks. Funding for these programs are mixed, and they can come from multiple different sources. In Austin, Texas, the Austin City Council is deciding whether to move forward with their versions of guaranteed income. If it passes, it will be the first for the city in its history. 85 individuals will be set to receive or participate in pilot program, and the Austin City Council has already approved the budget of $1.1 million. Now, while most of us are staying at home, it's best to make the most out of the situation. Another similar check that you may have missed is the $600 payment from the Department of Agriculture. Now, this one's for the farm workers, meat packers, and grocery workers, and it's meant to compensate them for the unexpected expenses during the pandemic, including the purchasing of their own protective gear, childcare, pandemic-related testing, as well as taking unpaid leave. Now, if you're the one of the three, you can watch out for the announcement this summer to the USDA website. You can check that out and actually find a list of state agencies, tribal entities, and non-profit organizations with experience in providing support or relief services to farm workers or meat packing workers. The money is going to go to these organizations. Then you can apply for your check through them. So we're still keeping a lookout for all the stimulus programs that you guys can take full advantage of. I know how hard it is out there. Some of you guys work in 2, maybe even 3 jobs just to keep up, and Social Security fan making the best of these fixed income Social Security payments. Now things may get worse with the self-Omicron variant going around. Have you guys heard about this one? Well, apparently it's just been named by the CDC as the most dominant strain in the US, with 54.9% in cases being attributed to it last week. Experts are now warning that this subvariant may cause a spike in case you heard me call it the stealth Omicron. That's because scientists have a harder time tracking the severity and they've had with other strains. It's also been found to be 30% more transmissible than the original BA.1 strain of Omicron, which in and of itself was already more contagious than earlier forms of the virus. It's also causing surges around the world like Southeast Asia, followed by Eastern Mediterranean, African, Western Pacific, as well as European regions. And as one scientist put it, through the combination of everything, thinking and expecting somehow that the pandemic is now over and the relaxation of the open EMIC restrictions gives the severity a really good chance to spread extremely wide and quote. So keep safe out there, you guys. Here in the US, people are so ready to move on from the pandemic. A recent poll showed that number 1, more than 3 in 4 Americans, are 77%, support the relaxing of CDC guidelines on the masking and social distancing in areas with low pandemic rates numbers to roughly 3 and 4, or 73% of people also agree with the statement that, quote, "It's time we accept that the pandemic is here to stay and we just need to get on with our lives." And lastly, among the last group, more than 4 and 10 want there to be no future pandemic restrictions or mandates put in place. Another poll showed that 44% of Americans said that they often or always wear masks around people outside their homes. Now that is down from 65% in January 2022 and 82% in February of 2021. Bottom line, you guys, most people do not want to go back where they were 3 months ago or a year ago or 2 years ago. Now with midterms coming up, I really doubt that politicians want to impose mask mandates or having people who clearly don't want to wear them actually have to wear them. But what do you guys think? Are we over mask wearing yourselves? Drop me a quick comment down below. Inflation is only going to one direction, and that is up soaring food prices at the grocery stores, gas prices jumping 30, 50 cents in the day, oil and gas companies hitting record profits.